I have the other page open to make sure that it starts. Okay. I think we're good.
Live.
All right. Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm Natasha.
I'm Karen.
And I'm Cheryl.
And forgive us, this is a second try here because initially it was not broadcasting. But today we're calling a little late because normally we do our calls on Wednesday. We had to reschedule to Friday this week because Karen was having some connectivity issues, and she was really going to be the person spearheading the chat about what is behind the bill we're calling on, which is about bail reform. So it's Friday. We're calling on Friday, which has thrown my whole mental understanding of the week off, to be honest. And Karen, all right, take it away.
All right, so I am all ginned up on this. I'm ready with the facts because I'm somewhat outraged. I'm hoping to get you outraged as well so that we can make this call. So yes, I've been reading about this, and it's getting more and more into the consciousness. I just was saying to Cheryl that she found a really great article this week, so it's in the mainstream press already.
Yes, in the Nation, and I'll probably weigh in after your facts.
Excellent. So,
and Cheryl, if you think of it, you can post the link to it in the comments for this post on the Facebook page, and I'll share it also.
I will do that.
And I'm going to read from a post from Sarah, which did you share that link in the newsletter already?
The link to her article? I think I did.
Great. And we'll put that in the show notes too. So I'm going to read Sarah's words. So it's like Sarah is here with us in spirit. So that's nice. So between 60 and 70% of the nearly 750,000 inmates confined in jails around the United States have not been convicted. As many as 9 in 10 of these people remain in jail because they cannot afford to post bond. It is estimated taxpayers pay around $9 billion with a B each year to keep these people incarcerated. So
that's so insane.
Yeah, so this is just about bail. You get arrested and, they charge you with whatever and you post bail to get out. But if you don't have money and you can't post bail, then you've got to stay in jail. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about people who don't have a few $1,000s laying around. All right, so people in that situation also probably can't afford to miss their job and be stuck in jail and probably have kids to feed. And otherwise, this is going to be terrible for them. And it creates this situation that becomes very hard for people to get out of. So then, there's a good chance they'll plea bargain so that they can get out sooner and get their lives, try to salvage their life, except then they have a record. And so next time they get pulled over or whatever, they've got a record. And so then it's going to be even harder to get bail. Oh my gosh, it's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It's this vicious cycle. And if you are Black or poor or brown or any of a number of things that make you get arrested more often, then this is much more likely to happen to you. And so it's just statistically it's terrible. We are putting people in jail for being poor. And if you're poor and Black, oh my gosh. So this is not acceptable. This is not what was meant by our system. Bail is just so to secure your reappearance. But there's nothing to say that these people weren't going to come back and come to court like they were supposed to. There's no reason to think that. So there's no reason to destroy their lives, especially if they're innocent. But even if they're not, it's ridiculous. If it's shoplifting or some drug charge, you really need to destroy someone's life? No. All right.
There was a story in the newsletter that I shared about a young kid who got arrested for shoplifting a backpack. And he wound up in prison for 3 years with no trial, shoplifting a probably $12 backpack, and he hung himself finally because he had been in there so long and there was no end in sight and nobody was doing anything for him. I mean, it's easy to think, though there's probably a couple cases like that. No, this is the majority. It's crazy. You already read us those numbers because we did this twice and it's still shocking the second time.
And how much money it cost. So studies document over 800 fatalities in the past year in the nation's local lockups. So yeah, we're talking a dangerous situation you're putting people in for no good reason.
Mm-hmm.
Cheryl, you had some thoughts?
Yeah, well, the article from The Nation was really great because it had some more specific examples. So it talked about a courtroom where the judge gives everybody who comes before him a minimum $2,000 bail or $2,500 bail. So again, for somebody who doesn't have the funds to get out of that, they may spend weeks in jail, missing work, missing job opportunities, getting even further behind than they were to get into that position and not be able to make bail. If you have a family member who goes to a bail bondsman to get you help, I always thought it was 10%. It sounded in the article like it's a little higher, maybe 12% or around there. And that's money that you don't get back. And the other thing that's really interesting is that even if somebody skips out on bail, the bail bondsman has very little liability. That liability gets pushed elsewhere, which I was not aware of. So it's a racket, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 2 countries in the world that have for-profit bail bondsmen.
And we're one of them.
As usual.
The Philippines.
And the Philippines. The Philippines.
Yeah.
The Philippines.
So as usual, keeping excellent company.
Making America great.
It's terrible. All right, so this needs reform desperately. So we've had bail reform before, and then some people out on bail committed some crimes, and they had to fix up what they were doing. And then we needed more bail reform, and it's time. So that was, the second time when they started to try to fix some of the problems they introduced the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's time for our third attempt to get this right. So this is the bill that we've got that we want to call on. It is sponsored by Kamala Harris, Democrat, and Rand Paul, Republican. But not just like
partisan.
It's not just a little bit Democrat and a little bit Republican, right? Like that is so that's exciting. So they introduced this. I think Rand Paul just doesn't want to pay the $9 billion a year, and that is a good enough reason.
Honestly, like, if you want to just be cold-hearted about it, that's still a really compelling reason.
It's completely legit. However, libertarians are big on not being in jail if you're not guilty, so I think that's fair, too.
I think most of us could say we're big on not being in jail if we're not guilty.
So here's how Kamala Harris put it. Our justice system was designed with a promise to treat all people equally. Yet more than 450,000 Americans sit in jail today awaiting trial, and many of them cannot afford money bail. In our country, whether you stay in jail or not is wholly determined by whether you're wealthy or not, and that's wrong. So yes, we can all agree putting people in jail for being poor, not good, not right. Does no one any favor.
Uh-oh.
There's the connectivity problem again.
Oh, we did so well for so long.
No.
Okay, there you are.
I refuse. Okay. I would like to go over some of your civil rights with you.
Okay, let's do that.
Fifth Amendment of the Bill of Rights. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Sixth Amendment. The accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial. And if you're like stuck without bail, anyway, it's not always speedy. Your backpack example. But the most important one in this case, Amendment 8, the 8th Amendment, excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. So our concept of cruel and unusual, that is not specific, that is very qualitative and not quantitative. Mm-hmm. And so that has changed over time. And Madison did that on purpose so that the Constitution could keep up with the times. Although I guess you could argue with Gorsuch on that. So what counts as excessive bail also needs to be kept up with the times and the situation. And the idea is not to keep people in jail who shouldn't be in jail. So let's talk about this bill that has been proposed so that I can convince you we should call on it. We're calling about Senate Bill 1593, the Pretrial Integrity and Safety Act. So I'm going to call my senator on that, although we could also call the Justice Committee to get it out of committee and onto the floor for a vote, because that's the thing. It just needs to come for a vote. And they've been up to other shenanigans like interviewing Sessions was their this week. Okay, so in summary of this bill, it's asking for $15 million in 2018 to run this program. Okay, 15 million. Remember how much we're going to save if it works.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So it's like the opposite of CHIP that we called on. We're trying to save $9 billion instead of spend it. Okay. So it's doing two things. It's offering two kinds of grants to states or tribal court systems. They're giving you money to put a system in place so that you can figure out who shouldn't have to pay money bail, which means technology, system analysis, people to help you get stuff installed, research, whatever, programming, so that you can come up with some sort of
Uh-oh. Oh, and she's gone. She just went away. Oh, nope. Now she's back.
I feel fine. I feel normal.
Wouldn't it be weird if when we had connectivity issues, we just kind of like flickered out of existence? But yeah, it just went dark for a second. You got real robot-y, and then your little square went dark.
Yeah. That is how it feels. I do feel like I flicker out. So you got the idea that this is like to help establish programs, software, whatever. Yeah, to predict if someone's going to come back, so you can offer no bail or very low bail.
Right.
All right. The other thing is to then gather data on how it's working and send that all back so that we can build better and better systems, more accurately figure out who we don't have to give bail to. So originally you only had bail on capital offenses. So things that were held the death penalty, murder and whatnot. But then we made flight risk and some other stuff. And so that all gets captured now. All right. So it's to help you figure out how to do this and then to gather data. That's what we're doing grants to various places for. Okay. And that seems like money well spent to me. So it's going to fund the research. It's going to fund the data. The goal is that there's a presumption of release in most cases without compelling reason otherwise. They're trying to make sure that over 95% of people appear in court, right? So like that's success. Like it doesn't count if like you let everyone else out on bail and no one comes to their court appearance.
Right.
But there's a release rate of over 85%. So like get most people out on bail, but get it right. Also quick hearings and stuff like that. All right. So I think that's a great bill, $15 million. Like, why would we not take this step and head in the right direction and gather the data we need to, like, because this is just implementing it in some states who decide they want to try it, figure out what works, and then we can start rolling it out and stop doing this. It's a travesty.
Yeah, it's really, this is the kind of thing that like, we all know about bail, we know about the concept of it. I mean, TV is filled with like, different instances of, and yet I don't think anybody really like knows the intricacies of it, and that it like I don't think people realize how long it takes to get a trial is a lot of what it is, because they, for Hollywood and books and whatever, things are often sped up to such a degree that it's like, if you aren't somebody who's familiar with real world, like me, for example, I'm not really. And when I started doing research for broadcast and realized how long it would be if somebody got a trial at all, sometimes that didn't even wind up happening. It's startling, because you just assume, well, yeah, what? They did a crime. You're accusing them. You did a trial. What? It was a big deal. And it's just.
It's not Law and Order.
Right. No, it's not.
And this is a wonderful thing to call on. And I do have another point here. And this is something that crops up for me periodically. When it's time to go to vote and you have the opportunity to vote on judges where you live, that's one area that I always feel I have a very difficult time finding information. And this is a great one to really tune into, because if you see somebody, while these laws are out there and maybe able to be changed, but when you see somebody who is grossly abusing their position in a manner, and I think the example of somebody who says, I don't care who comes in front of me, $2,500 minimum bail.
Right.
That is a judge that should be voted out.
Yeah, agreed.
Cheryl, you're going to love our judges episode coming soon.
Oh, beautiful.
I really like that. We should have like trailers. So again, guys, you should definitely go to broadcastpodcast.wordpress.com, sign up for our newsletter because there's links to this bill so that you can read it. There are links to the an article from the New York Times about bail in general and the poor kid that hanged himself. Sorry. And there on our Facebook page, I shared Sarah's article from Bill Track 50. There's just, get involved with us and you can see all of this information.
And Sarah had some great links to things states are doing, because states are trying to reform. So this is just supporting that effort. But lots of states have started to figure out how to not do this to their poor people. I think it's enough to take away their health insurance. Let's just not put them in jail too.
And this money-based punishment is really something that, beyond just bail, I think Kinea and I did an episode where we talked about the concept of a lot of poor people cannot afford to renew licenses and things like that. It's an expense that a lot of people don't think about because it's only $80 or so, but $80 is, when you are paycheck to paycheck, that is a chunk of money. That's like a week of groceries. And if you get pulled over and you don't have if you have a out of date license, they can slap you with a fine, and that can, if you do not pay that fine, which if you couldn't pay the licensing fee, you probably can't pay the $200 fine, they can arrest you, and that will lose you your job. And the whole point, we think, is that they want to get paid, but they're putting people in positions where they can't pay because they don't have a car anymore, because they don't have a job anymore, because it's a snowball effect, like what Karen was describing, where one thing leads to another, and then that's on their record forever, and then trying to get a job after that becomes more difficult, and they don't get a good recommendation from their employer because their employer's like, yeah, they were arrested while they were working for me. I don't think so. Which they're not technically allowed to say that, but that's information you can find on a background check. So yeah, this is when you're broke, it is just, you are teetering on the edge all the time of anything that could go wrong. I got bit by a dog a couple days ago, and luckily the dog owner paid for my bill to get stitched up, but it was $1,000. Just, you're always living on this knife's edge, and I don't think a lot of people appreciate how much someone's record can be informed by simple bad luck, just straight up, and a system that isn't efficient and isn't working for them. So yeah, I feel passionately about this.
Yeah, it's not okay if you fall off that knife edge to then end up in jail.
Right.
Right.
So who wants to go first?
I better before I lose myself entirely. So I'm going to call my Senator Gardner. And Natasha, this is in the Judiciary Committee, and they need to approve it and put it to the floor for a vote. Both of your senators are on that committee. Okay. So you should definitely make sure you say, please help this bill get to the floor. I'm going to say it too, but my guy can't do that. Your guys can.
Gotcha.
Or you can just call the committee itself and say,
That's what I'll do.
Excellent.
Hi, this is United States Senator Cory Gardner, your senator from the great state of Colorado. Thanks for calling my office. Please feel free to leave a message.
Hi, Senator Gardner. This is Karen Suhaka from Denver, 80203. And I want to thank you for your recent telephone town hall. That was great. I appreciate your doing that, and I enjoyed listening to it. But today I'm calling you about Senate Bill 1593, the Pretrial Integrity and Safety Act. I think that the requirement of money bail is a tool that desperately needs to be reformed. In practice, it deprives people of liberty in what I think is an unconstitutional way, and has been well documented to exacerbate racial inequality in the justice system. In 2013, Colorado overhauled its bail statutes to discourage the use of money bail and to encourage the use of risk assessment tools. And it's time for those ideas to spread. The small amount of money asked for by this bill, the flexibility afforded states in implementing a system, and the carefully thought out guidelines, and the emphasis on data gathering especially, makes this a solid bill worthy of your support. Please make justice more blind and more fair. Do what you can to help this bill get to the floor, and then please vote for it. Thank you.
Yay! Excellent script, madam.
I work on them.
All right, I'm going to call Mr. Cornyn.
Cool.
Doop, doop, doop. And, yeah, I might call Cruz after, too. But I don't want to make people sit through his smarmy voicemail.
I really hate his voicemail.
It is rough.
It actually makes my skin crawl.
Right? There's something like oily about it.
This is Senator John Cornyn. Thanks for calling my Washington, D.C. office. For general information regarding my office locations and operating hours, please press 1. To leave a comment regarding current issues of interest, please press 2. If you'd like, I appreciate you taking the time to make your views known on current policy issues of interest to you. Please leave your comment as well as your local zip code after the tone. Thank you and have a great day.
Hi, my name is Natasha Kingston. I'm a constituent from Denison, Texas, zip code 75020. I'm calling to ask you, Senator, to please support S1593, the Pretrial Integrity and Safety Act of 2017. As you are on the Judiciary Committee, I would really appreciate it if you would push to bring it to the floor. States need to reform their discriminatory, ineffective, and expensive bail systems, and this bipartisan legislature could help achieve that. Thank you very much for your time. I used the much simpler and maybe not as eloquent 5 calls script. So y'all listeners got a good example of an original script and a standardized script.
I like the politeness you infuse.
I didn't.
And I like, Cornyn sounds like a good old Texas boy and an oil guy, and that just makes me comfortable. I feel comfortable with him, despite whatever. But see, he doesn't have this forced empathy thing that Ted Cruz it's just not right.
It just feels very business-like, his voicemail, where Ted Cruz is trying to be real cloying about it. And you're like, listen, you're trying a little bit too hard to make me think that you actually have empathy, which leads me to suspect maybe you don't. And this is your pod person version of what you think empathy looks like to human beings.
I want to point out that anybody who's only listening to this missed Karen's hand signal when she was talking about Cruz. And that was really nice visual. The cloying, grasping.
But yes. In no way vulgar. I'd like to defend my hand gestures.
They were not vulgar, that's true. All right. Well, I am going to call the Senate Judiciary Committee, and I also am taking the script from 5 calls, which was so conveniently provided in the broadcast newsletter. Thank you very much.
Ding!
I'm guessing I'll get a voicemail.
Senate Judiciary Committee.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Pryor, and I'm calling to express an opinion about an upcoming bill. Can I share that with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Wonderful. I'm calling from St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm calling about the Pretrial Integrity and Safety Act of 2017, which is Senate Bill 1593. People should not be in jail without being proven guilty simply because they are poor. States need to reform their discriminatory, ineffective, expensive bail systems, and I'm so happy to see that this has bipartisan support, and I believe that this could help achieve that.
All right, I've got your feedback down, and I will pass that along.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
You're very welcome. Have a good day.
You too. Wow, I get the live people.
You got a person! Yay! Karen got so excited she short-circuited her computer.
You're not pouring water on the keyboard or anything, are you, Karen?
It's her tears of joy.
That was pure enthusiasm that just crashed my machine. I didn't know that was something we can do. Maybe that's something we can do.
Hey, Harry Dresden, going back to Harry Dresden, magic knocks out the electronics.
That's what it is. We're generating too much magic, too much justice magic.
Too much democracy going on here.
Oh no, we managed to make it through so much of this, and now Karen's going out and out more and more.
Yeah.
Oh, she's waving sadly.
Bye.
All right, everybody. Well, I'm going to quit while we're ahead. Thank you so much for listening. Hope that you learned something today. Hope that you are able to make this call. The information is on broadcastpodcast.wordpress.com. If you are looking for the script, you can also go to 5 calls and follow us on Facebook. And, just be our friend. Just be cool, man. All right. We'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.